Hi, folks. Good morning to you all, wherever you're listening from, Lagos, Abuja, wherever. Welcome. My name is Kalu Aja, and we're just going to do a business paper review to set you guys up for your Tuesday. What a day we're going to have this morning. I think we might just maybe do one story or two because I have a big story here, guys. I have the 2023 budget proposal of the federal government of Nigeria. And I hope you guys are sitting down whilst you're hearing this. Let me just maybe walk through the assumptions and the numbers. They are mind blowing. I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, let me just walk you guys through. So the top line budget number we are seeing from the federal government is about 19.76 trillion. So that's 19 trillion for the budget, right? The deficit, the deficit for this budget, right, is give or take about 12 trillion. So 19 is the budget. The deficit, i.e., what we don't have but we're going to spend, is 12 trillion. So I mean, just say a trillion a month for 2023. This will push our debt up from the current 41 trillion to about 54 trillion by 2023. So I hope you're following. So 19 trillion for the budget, about 12 trillion is the deficit because we don't have this money, right? We're going to borrow the money. If we borrow, our debt goes up to 54 trillion. But it gets worse, guys. So this is going to push our debt to GDP or to about 5%. You know, the law, the Fiscal Responsibility Act says that we cannot borrow more than about 3%. But this is going to push us up to about 5% if everything uh, goes as they're planning, right? Okay, so the question I hear you asking is, what are we going to spend it? And this is the way it gets really, really maddening. You know, we're going to spend, give or take, or we're going to have a deficit, give or take, of about 1 trillion a month. What is driving this deficit? Your guess is just confirmed. It's fuel subsidy. So fuel subsidy, guys, is going to give or take be about 6.7 trillion. That's if they pay the subsidy from January to December of 2023, 6.7 trillion. This fuel subsidy budget is used to be the total federal budget a years back. Now just one line item, 6.7 trillion. This year is about 4 trillion. Now we're going 6.7. I don't even know what else to say. Then let's talk about the assumption, because you know everything revolves around crude oil, right? So if we say we're going to spend or have a deficit of about 1 trillion a month, what is the assumption on oil sales? Well, we're pushing about 1.69 barrels per day. That's let me just yes, 1.69 million barrels per day for production. And the exchange rate here is 435. So it looks like they want to spend money, but they're not really being serious about the assumptions to spend this money. Currently, we're at give or take. Let me just make sure I got the figures right for our oil output because it's down drastically. I think we have been talking about the oil output for a while now, and we're at about 2 million barrels per day. That used to be our average well before 2015, 2.5, 2.6, 2.1, and all that. Right now, oil output is down to 1.43. Just to put it in the perspective, right? As at December, let's say January 2022, Nigeria was doing about 2.07 barrels per day. January 2022. Right now, we're at 1.43. No one has explained why this has crashed. The reason is simple. The oil has been stolen. So they've stolen the oil to 1.43, but still, in the 2023 budget, we are saying that we're going to miraculously move this back up to 1.69. And at the exchange rate of the naira is going to be about 4.35 to a dollar. So there'll be no devaluation of the naira. That's what they are saying. And we're going to sell more crude oil, but we're going to borrow, give or take, or have a deficit of about $1 trillion a month. So it doesn't make any sense. This is just some wishes, This is not a budget. It's not realistic. It doesn't show. This is the last budget. They're going to be out of office, give or take June. By February, after the elections, the new administration is going to have their own ideas, and they're going to start to give signals to the market. This is what we want to do. This is what we don't want to do. To come and say you want to spend, this probably is the largest budget in the history of Nigeria, right? On your way out of 19 trillion. You want to spend 19 trillion and have a deficit of about $1 trillion a month. Yeah, move the debt to 54. I'm not sure. I don't know what to say, guys. I'm just looking at the figures. I haven't really digested them, but this doesn't make sense. I mean, I'm reading the Punch. The title is 19.76 budget proposal, 12 trillion deficit worries the federal government. Debts may hit 54 trillion. So the question really is this: why is fuel subsidy so important that we have got to push our debt to 54 trillion and borrow $1 trillion a month? Why is cheap fuel so important to the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari? I don't get it. If we were spending on education or health, you could argue this was like a stimulus or something. But why is fuel so important? Yeah, I hear you saying everybody uses fuel, but you want to borrow $1 trillion when you don't have roads, you don't have schools, ASU is on strike, everyone is striking. We want to spend $1 trillion or incur a $1 trillion a month deficit and keep the naira at 435. I don't know what's going on, but like I said, this doesn't look to me like this looks to me like someone wants to put something up there to have it there. So it doesn't look like someone actually taking the time to do this, especially when you say there will be no devaluation of the currency. If you are spending $1 trillion a month in excess of what you're bringing in, what does that mean? That means you are borrowing. If you are borrowing, you're going to increase interest rates. If you increase interest rates, what happens? The naira would, of course, be under pressure. So the dollar is going to be a bit stronger. If that scenario happens and you are using your NNPC to revenues to import PMS, why will the naira not go up, not fall in value? If the naira falls in value, why are you putting 435 as an exchange rate? Doesn't make any sense to me, guys. I mean, especially when we look at the other story I was going to share with you guys here. This is from the Cable, and it's the Naira for Dollar scheme. The Central Bank of Nigeria is saying we've recorded 2.4 billion diaspora remittances in 2022. So this looks like a lot of money, right? It's the central bank through Ozemena Naji, the director of trade and exchange at the CBN, said, right, that we have seen, and I'm quoting now, we have seen an increase in naira for dollar in terms of remittances. We received 2.9 billion in cash so far this year. So essentially, the CBN has received nearly 3 billion based off it. If you give us a dollar, if you remit $1, we're going to give you 4 naira per se. Yeah, we're going to give you naira if you remit dollar, 5 naira if you remit dollars to us. So nearly 3 billion has come in here. This looks like a lot, but guys, remember, Nigeria remittances are give or take about 25 billion, and this was about years before COVID. So Nigeria was doing 25 billion before COVID. Why is this figure down? Because this figure is 2.9. It's low. It looks a lot, but it's down. Nigerians have gone to other methods to do remittances. Why is it down? Well, it's down because nobody in his right mind, is going to remit money to CBN and receive 435. It makes no sense. When you can send the money through someone else, take it to the streets and get 700 naira. This is pure economics, right? Unless I have to. Why would I accept 435 on for the same commodity that I can get 700 naira for? So this is wishful thinking, both from the CBN and both from the federal government, to think that Nigerians, because there's no Aboki FX, right? Nigerians cannot determine the exchange rate of a currency. It's wishful thinking, and people are going to essentially go out of the official market that the Central Bank of Nigeria is putting out in front of them. And I'm going to send the dollars to Nigeria. It would be in the domiciliary account. It would be with Nigerians, but not in the central bank's vault, which will then put pressure on this exchange rate that the federal government is quoting as their assumptions for 2023. It makes no sense. The United States is increasing interest rates on the US dollar. This means that if I was from Singapore and I had $100 million, I could take it to the United States and get a high dollar safe return. Why should I come to Nigeria if they are not going to increase interest rates to pay me, or they're going to retain their dollars at 435? So these are the things that we're not really, I don't think we're trying to be maybe leave on a good note, if that's the right word. But I don't think there's serious work being done on this budget. This is only going to be till February, right? So if a candidate wins, his economic team is going to basically signal we accept this or we don't accept this, right? But to borrow or to have a deficit of 1 trillion a month is just, you hear it and just sit down and you worry. Oil prices are sideways. It's up, it's down. The world is waiting for Iran, and also the world's looking at the recession. If Iran comes in, oil prices fall. If there's a recession, OPEC will cut supply to try to keep prices up, but that's just going to be limited, right? So we are not in a place where we should be spending on fuel subsidy. That's my point. Nigeria should really take. I mean, why are you spending on fuel subsidy on your way out? This is the best time to cancel the subsidy on your way out. Why are you spending on incurring 1 trillion a month? Makes no sense. And we have to go back to this 1.69 assumption to sell oil. Again, we're at 1.4. The oil is being stolen. The only response I've seen from the government is to bring back Tom Polo and pay him 4 billion to guard the oil pipelines. This is the response of the federal government of Nigeria, the largest economy in Africa. That to guard oil pipelines, you pay an ex-militant 4 billion. Well, good for the ex-militant, but you can't build a budget of 12 trillion on an ex-militant guarding oil pipelines for 4 billion. Doesn't make any sense, guys. These things don't make it. You can't have an intellectual discussion based on the numbers that we're seeing here. So, as usual, the National Assembly, which is more stamp, will pass this. They will pass this. They will stamp it in. They will include their own funds in there. It will go and they'll try to get their money front loaded so they can get it before February, so that whatever happens with the new administration, they've gotten their money. And I can assure you, as night follows day, there will be a supplementary budget, whoever becomes the president, because it's a mess. I can assure you, as night follows day. Like I said, guys, we'll spend 15 minutes just talking about two stories: the budget and the CBN. Just use the remittance of the CBN just to make the point about the budget. I think the budget is the real big story for the week, and I'm pretty sure you're going to hear a lot about it. There are two. Everyone here has the budget as a headline, with a few other minor stories here. We've talked about inflation. What other stories here for you guys? I don't think anything here is really important. Yeah, it's just really the budget, and really for this week, we'll have to really deep down and try to dimension this. So I mean, let's end with this, right? If you are Nigerian and you are this is August, and we're going to September and months, right? You have to start to prepare now for this budget coming along. I would say try to diversify your holdings, right? Don't hold Naira if you're not going to spend it within 0 to 90 days. That's what I would say. Try to hedge against this spending by the government. This would mean interest rates in the banks are going to go up. If the government is borrowing, they're going to crowd you out because the government is going to be the best borrower. So if they borrow, you would find it harder to borrow because then the banks would lend to the government than you. So if you need financing, start to lay it now, start to try to apply for it now and get it before this huge borrowing comes through to the government. It's going to be tight. I think the hope is that a new administration will come in and just scrap whatever this budget is, scrap it completely, pass a supplementary budget, rejig all this stuff, maybe cancel subsidies, bring down the debt and deficits, and then attract foreign capital. And it's that attraction of foreign capital that I believe will solve this. They are trying to solve a problem of exchange rates and inflation by spending naira. That's what they are trying to do. You should have solved this by attracting dollars into Nigeria. Once you attract dollars, they can do all this they're trying to do, but they want to spend naira, print it, spend it. And it's not going to work. NNPC is not going to give any revenues to FARC. They're not doing so right now, and this 2023 budget extends that arrangement where NNPC, whatever they are called now, will simply sell and not remit because we're going to spend about 6.7. That's the figure, guys. 6.7 on fuel subsidies. Makes no sense. I would love to get a question. If they're not, we're going to tie it down. But this is very troubling. It's not the numbers. The numbers don't trouble me. It's the thought process behind the numbers. To say that you are in 2023 still going to spend 6.7 trillion on subsidy, right? Going to borrow 1 trillion a month and going to leave the government with about 54 trillion in debt. Crazy. That's the word for it. All right, guys. So I'll leave you guys here. Don't worry. It's not a gloom and doom, guys. I think it's all going to be fixed. I put February, put a pin on February. This will all be fixed. This guy just want to. I think they want to reflate the economy, and it will get sorted out in good time. Yeah, headache, man. It's a headache. That's all I can say. Yeah, I got Oshi. Oshi, hi. Osh, is it Osh? Am I getting that right, Osh?
Yeah,
Hi. Hey, what's up, bro?
I'm very good. Good morning, Carlo. Thank you so
Hey, what's up?
much for everything. I've really been following up, and honestly, this whole say political movement in Nigeria actually drew me down to Twitter. I'm not a social media person in general, and I really picked interest in your works because I think I mentioned that before. You're very non-partisan, and that's a lot to admire. So, to my question, I'm coming in a bit late. I'm at work and I'm having to just sneak out to listen to this, joining your space for the first time. Uh, there's a part of the whole subsidy that I heard about being removed, say, most likely from the middle of next year
Yeah,
after this administration leaves.
yeah,
So I was thinking how that is even possible for people who won't be in place to actually handle the repercussion or the outcome of the actions they're taking right now. How is it possible that they are able to take actions for other people? That's the next government coming in. If the if say the subsidy will be removed, they can remove it now and say try to do whatever now, or we will all feel whatever will happen now
yeah,
than do it on behalf of a new administration that's coming in when we know most likely they will say loot whatever is left completely dry before they leave. How is this possible? Why is the Senate or no other office is talking about this and why nobody is taking it up?
it's, there's just one government at a time. And right now, we have a government right now, and that government expires in June. So elections February, then June. So they can pass any budget that they like. The same way they came in and also passed the budget when they took over, right? And for me, the question is this, right? if I was the president of Nigeria and I saw the world, I mean, your oil prices are under pressure. There might be a recession coming very, very soon. Trade is slowing down because of Ukraine, Russia, of uncertainty. Why would I spend my scarce forex on subsidy? You've got to explain this to people and say we can't do this anymore. If it means us paying you 5,000 a month extra for fuel, we'll do that, but we're not going to pay for subsidy. And you take this 6.7 trillion, you reduce your deficit, then you start to run an economy. That's really what should happen. That's what a serious government would do. You cannot spend. This can't continue. Just today, if you, there are stories in the press now about Ghana. Ghana is really in trouble, right? They got oil and they've spent thinking that the oil was going to keep on coming. Now they are broke. Essentially, Ghana is broke. They are with the IMF begging for 3 billion to save Ghana. They want to borrow money, and no one's going to borrow money to Ghana without them paying humongous interest costs. And this is exactly where Nigeria is going to. What happens if in 2023 oil prices go to $50 a barrel? We saw it happen. We saw it happen. If oil goes to 50, 60, then what happens to this budget? And you've already committed yourself to pay subsidy. Then what happens? Where's the buffer? We are spending, give or take, 5.7% of debt to GDP and all that. The figure I didn't even quote was the revenues is about 196%. So we blow that figure up, i.e., we are borrowing more than we would ever have in revenues. So, like I said, the numbers itself is not the problem, but the thought process behind the numbers is what's really scaring me, right? That these guys are a bit cut off, are not reading the room, the global environment. They can do whatever they want to. They can say they can pay the budget. I think the trigger is Dangote Refinery. Everyone is waiting for Dangote Refinery. Dangote Refinery is working by first quarter 2023. The idea is that they won't pay the subsidy, but they're trying to provide for the whole year, right? So if Dangote Refinery was working, it would take some pressure, but not everything. That's what they're trying to budget in there. But I think it's a waste. That's just my take. Yeah, I'll see.
That's okay. Thank you so much.
You are super. Umar, hi, what's up, man? Hey, Umar, what's happening?
Yeah, good morning, Kalu. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine is you have talked a lot pertaining this issue. But I'm thinking, is the president truly having a minister of finance? The economy is in shambles, and things are not just going right. Presently, look at the inflation rate, food prices going up, skyrocketing, everything going higher and higher and higher. Is the president having human feelings? Because I just can't even figure it out. Look at the exchange rate, naira to a dollar, almost 700 yesterday.
I think
Things are just getting tough.
that the finance minister talks like the president is her father, and she doesn't want to annoy him. That's how I hear her. She talks like, oh, she will say things like, she's saying it, we have to do things different. We have to take tough decisions. You are the minister of finance. You can disagree with the president. You can say, sir, we can't afford this. Then if he says we must spend it, you resign. Let somebody else come and do this. But she's talking like, oh, this is my father. He doesn't understand. Oh, this is nobody will run a country like this, a house like this. Imagine if it was your personal house and the government told you, we're not sure of making it this coming year, or we're going to pay you a salary of 10 naira. Then you are saying you are going to go and borrow 30 naira at your 10 naira to subsidize buying petrol for your car when your children are not eating, they are not in school, they are sick, but you're concerned about buying petrol for your new car. Even in your personal business, this can't happen now. So it's like, I hear you, but this can't happen. But it's happening here. Why can't anyone step to the president and say, this is not possible. You cannot have a budget where you are borrowing and having a deficit of 1 trillion a month. If we are borrowing 1 trillion a month to build railways and airports, we'll say, okay, to pay fuel subsidy, 1 trillion a month. Haba.
It's not even realistic, to be honest with you.
I don't know.
I'm a firm let me tell you one fun thing, Carlo. I'm a firm supporter of this administration, and I love your analysis. But you cannot just support this government pertaining this issue of economy. It's just getting worse and worse and worse every day, every blessed day. No even any human feeling pertaining the citizens of this country. The poor ones are getting poorer, the rich ones are getting richer. I don't even know how to explain this to the younger generation. Things are just getting out of hand. We just wish for a better government going forward.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
Elon, what's up? I got your hand up.
Okay, Carlo, thank you very much. I always follow you, and I'm a firm believer that Nigeria is not a poor country, but we have poor leadership.
Mhm.
Then my question to you is: if if the country is not able to finance its budget and nobody is willing to borrow us, what happens?
Then we
What
go.
should we
We
expect?
become Sri Lanka. That's what happens. Nobody will fund your imports anymore. Then you become like, I don't know if you were alive during the austerity measures when people were lining up to buy sugar in Nigeria, lining up to buy bread. That's what will happen. There was a time in Nigeria people would line up to buy sugar. This is not far away. This was 1980s. You line up to buy sugar, milk. They call it essential commodities. You get a paper and go to a store. Then with that paper you can buy sugar and milk. That's what will happen. Look at what happened in Sri Lanka. So it's not a joke. I mean, the all the oil money, all the money we get from crude oil, everything. We used to say before that we are borrowing to pay salaries, and we'll say, is it bad? We're borrowing to pay. Right now, we are borrowing to service the debt, not pay the debt, to service the debt. How can you explain that? That you are borrowing money to pay the debt you borrowed yesterday, so you borrow money today to eat, then pay the debt you're going to use today. It doesn't make. How can you say that? To I don't know what to say, man. But again, I'll say this: it's not the numbers as the problem. It's just the way they are thinking about it. Where is the sacrifice in this budget? Where? Okay. Um, John, what's on your mind?
Good morning, Mr. Aja. Good morning to everyone else. Hope you're having a wonderful morning.
Yeah.
My question is along the line of subsidy also. So, hypothetically, if the subsidy was to be stopped today, it will send economic shocks to the economy, obviously. So, my question is, how do you suppose that we go about stopping or calling off the subsidy?
I mean,
to pacify the economic shocks.
John, subsidy is just an increase in prices, right? So if you take off subsidy, the price of petrol will go to maybe 400, 300. That's what it means. You have got to come back and then do a palliative. It's got to be a strategy to say the poorer part of Nigeria, you will pay them to absorb the shock. The richer part of Nigeria can take care of themselves. There are means you can do. You can say if your car engine is this engine size, you will not get a subsidy. If you file your taxes, you attach your BVN to your car registration, you can buy subsidized petrol at NNPC. So we lock in your car registration, we attach it to your BVN, and then we give you a subsidy payment through eNaira. You go to NNPC and you can buy your fuel subsidy for the low workers. Then you scrap the subsidy, and then the middle class and the richer folks can pay the full import price. That's what you need to do right now. Because look at it this way: if you don't do it, you'll be forced to do it. Either way, one of them will happen. What happens if we can't afford to pay for the subsidy? Sri Lanka ran out of money. Then what did they do? Look at them today. Are they not paying the high price? So you can either gradually take yourself off that fiscal cliff, or you fall off the cliff. There are no options. We can't afford it. We are borrowing to import PMS to drive cheap PMS. That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. So we do it planned. The plan money now. Take diesel and supply diesel to the factories. Subsidize diesel so the factories can get petrol to run. Then make this a need-based. The poorer people, you give them a voucher to buy subsidized petrol at the pumps. We have eNaira, we have BVN, pay the subsidy at the pumps and say, if you earn below this, you can buy subsidy. But if you earn above this or you drive this type of car, you pay the full price. That's how it should be done. It's pure economics. If you don't do it, you'll be forced to do it. Yeah, John? Makes sense to you? All right, Focus. Yeah, good. Thanks, John. Focus. Hi, what's up? What's on your mind?
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. And
Really can't hear you that well. I think are you on a hands-free, sir?
no, I'm on speaker like this.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, good. So I've been following everything you said. I think I just want to ask a simple question: is for business owners and for entrepreneurs here in Nigeria, I mean, like, what would be your advice, to us?
Yeah.
Let's say from now up until May 29, when the new administration hopefully comes in.
Yeah.
What's the best advice for us right now?
You know what I'll tell you this, yeah. If your business has to do with importation or if you are using leverage to run your business, you are going to be in some trouble, right? You'd want to try to lock in financing as soon as you can, because from this budget cycle, the federal government is going to go into the private sector aggressively to borrow in naira, so you'll be crowded out, right? So if you want to get any financing, make sure you lock it in now. If possible, draw it down and just keep it handy. If you can diversify your sources of forex, it'd be a good idea to get that all sorted out now, right? I don't think this budget will play out the way it is. I think whoever wins in February, their country will change. Then if a particular candidate wins in February, you will notice that the dollar will fall. It will crash completely in Nigeria, because there will be an expectation of that the economy will be fixed. And in economics, expectation is a very, very powerful measure. If we expect the economy will do good, it's going to do good. So I think Nigerians are essentially waiting for who would win in February. If whoever wins in February determine where the economy will really go to. So I would say hedge from now till say March and say, okay, I have what I can get. Because when this starts to seep out, then the market is going to react to this deficit spending that's going to happen. So if you can get ahead of it, if you can line up your source of financing, if you have good credit, clean it up. If you don't have good credit, make sure you go and sort everything out and then just get ready. Watch, don't keep costs, don't keep inventory you don't need. Try and be lean, all that kind of stuff, the normal business things that normal business people do. And then pray and vote in February. And then if it all works out the way it's supposed to work out, yeah, it's good for you.
Thank you.
All right, Focus. I'm not hearing you, but I hope you got that message right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome, bro. Yeah. So let's get Pera. Pera, what's happening? What's on your mind? Pera, can you hear me though? Okay, let's see if we can try for this is Ali Kosen. Did I get that right? Ali Kosen. Hey Ali, you can unmute your mic and then we can just hear you out. Okay, Ali is not unmuting. Mr. Fakaya.
Can you hear me now, Mr. Kal?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Like one of our listeners spoke earlier, he was asking for business owners. I'm an investment banker, and I'm just wondering, I'm into fixed income, like treasury bills, federal government bonds, and all that issued by the federal government. And we have locked into some of these bonds for 5 years, 10 years, and all that. What is your advice for people like us going forward? Thank you very much.
Yeah, so you should know as investment banking that if you bought those bonds at, say, a fixed rate right now, the new bonds that are going to come out, will the rate be higher or lower? If the rates are going to be higher, then your bonds are going to be at a discount, right? because you're going to get a lower rate. That's what it means. If those new bonds are going to be at a lower rate, then bonds go up in price. I suspect that the new bonds are going to be at a higher rate because the CBN has got to raise interest rates to attract that money to come in. Because the Naira will be weak, they would have to increase interest rates to keep folks from buying dollars. That's what I suspect. If that happens, then of course the bonds that you have right now in your portfolio, if you mark them to market, will not be as profitable as the new ones that are going to be released. That's my take. So what can you do? Are they going to call the bonds back? You have to wait. You simply have to wait because, again, remember the point. They can't issue all the bonds in January, February. They're going to issue a series, right? So it will be a whole bond calendar from now. So I would think that in February, there'll be a reset. There'll be a reset of expectation and interest rates, and that would affect even the bonds that are going to be issued. That's my take. So that even if a bond was going to be issued at 6%, if the new government comes in, because of the goodwill, those bonds might be issued at even lower rates, which would then help the portfolio. Ali,
Yes, thank you so much.
does that make
I
sense?
didn't want to take other people's time. Thanks a lot.
You're very welcome. All right, yeah, we're going to shut it down very soon, guys. Samuel, and then we'll sort of shut down the space. Sam, how you doing? What's up in your mind, sir?
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, thank you very much. Platform. I just want to have ask little questions. Now, reading a kind of write up from the CBN governor when he said why he pegged the dollar to about 435 is that he is afraid that the naira is going to go spiral. So what does he mean by that? Because that what he pegging it is very illogical because we don't have a lot in our reserves and the black market is very far from what he's trying to say, and nobody is going to actually sell their dollar to the CBN. So what do you mean by that? And secondly, my second question is, since we have other natural resources that we can export, we have gold, we have any others we can mine, but why do we rely on only oil? Is there any problem or is there any issue with it? Thank you very much.
So great question. So just to explain what's going on with the central bank, the exchange rate. The problem with Nigeria is that we are importing. We are importing more than we are exporting. So because we are importing, we need more dollars. If we need more dollars, that means that the dollar will go up and the naira will fall. That's what you're seeing happening. So the real rate is the black market rate, not the central bank rate. The black market rate is the market determined rate. So the market is telling that because more people want to buy dollars, it's going to sell to them at 700. The central bank is offering you at 430, let's say 430. It is doing what is called defend. It is defending its foreign reserves by offering it to you at 435. So if you come to the central bank, you can get $1 at 435 or 430 and all that, right? But the central bank does not control us. It doesn't print dollars. It doesn't supply enough dollars. So as long as it keeps it at 435, it is protecting its reserves from depletion. Because when it says Naira will go spiral, that's what it's saying. He's saying that the Naira will just rise, and become too weak that the central bank cannot fund the market. So like if you want to buy rice, the banks cannot give you dollars to buy rice or to import rice. So he's saying at 45, he protects his foreign reserves. The problem is that at 435, nobody will bring dollars to Nigeria and sell to the Central Bank of Nigeria or to even a bank. They'll prefer to take it and sell it to the quote unquote BDC, Abokis, and all that because they get a higher price. That's the problem. He's trying to control a commodity he doesn't have any control over. No one controls the currency markets. You can go on your phone today and trade in currencies. There's no central regulatory body for currency trading. The US Federal Reserve controls the dollar by buying and selling the same way the central bank should do. But the US can print and supply dollars and influence the market. Central Bank of Nigeria cannot. So you only have two choices in Nigeria. Either the central bank will devalue the naira If it devalues in naira, it takes away the difference between that 700 and 430, which means that if I want to bring dollars to Nigeria, I can go to the bank and get maybe 600. That's it. That's okay. But if it's 430 and 700, a 300 naira difference, that's too wide. If it's too wide, then the arbitrage is too wide, So they have to close that gap. You close that gap by either exporting more or you reduce your imports. But you've just heard us say that we're going to spend 6.7 trillion to import PMS. So if we're spending 6.7 trillion to import PMS, imports are going up, but we're pegging the naira at 435. So it's not jiving. And this also goes to your second question: is it only oil we're exporting? It looks like it looks that way because the president is the minister of petroleum. He has focused only on petroleum. Nigeria's largest exporter today now is Dangote. He's exporting urea fertilizer from natural gas. Before urea fertilizer, we had just cocoa and soybeans and cowpeas. That's our exports. We haven't grown that space in 8 years. Non-oil exports have gone up because of Dangote urea. If you look at Dangote urea, it's still cocoa, it's still cowpeas, have really grown that sector considerably. Remittances are still the highest source of forex to Nigeria if you take away crude oil. And it's a failure of diversification. The Nigerian economy is diversified. It's the revenue sources that are not diversified. And we've had 16 years, or should we say 18 years, to diversify the economy, and we haven't done it. So we're suffering and we're paying the price right now. If you don't diversify your economy, this is what happens. Remember, if oil price should go down, it's all over. We're in big trouble. So yeah, that's just my take. Hope that answered
Yeah.
your question. I didn't hear you, Sam.
I said thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, guys, let's call it a day. I hope you guys do have a great Tuesday. It's not all doom. It's lots of good things that happen out there. Go out, plan, keep it simple, and make that money. I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully with better news. Have a good one, and bye.